Hello, this is my follow-up video for Stamp Wars, where last weekend we got to play with the featured sponsor, The Ton, which was, you know, pun intended, a ton of fun. We were given the Postage Party Die, and then I got to play with the Daisies layering stencils, which this was really fun to do, and pretty easy, if I do say so myself. I felt a little bit out of practice for a bit, but it's like riding a bike, you just jump back in, right? So for today, I'm gonna work on using different kinds of inks and different colors, because I'm gonna go a different palette. I'm gonna focus on Catherine Pooler inks, ink blend with those. And I'm going to kind of try and do a little bit of a different type of color scheme. So I have two panels. One, I unfortunately got a little wet there, but I'm going to go and work with it because it's going to get covered up later on with the card that I'm making. And so I'm going to do like purples with grays. And then the second one, I'm going to focus on like oranges and creams and more of like a fall palette. Anyway, so I'm going to get started. I already pre-cut out the both of the bases for it, and then the colors, like the background colors for the cards. So this will be one and this will be the other. And anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Hopefully this will be very quickly. And hopefully you can see. I'm working with a new setup here and trying to make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Let me move this actually up a little bit. This grip mat is very grippy. I also go ahead and print out my color wheels from Catherine Pooler. I cut them out, I laminate them, and put in all the colors. I label everything, just to make my life a lot simpler. I like to work a lot with colors, and I like having them organized so that I can just go ahead and kind of grab colors and say, okay, I like those together. Kind of like if you're painting, or if you're a painter, if you like draw color, you work a lot with like swatches. So I like working with swatches, being able to look at things and see kind of how they'll pair up, etc. Okay, so for the first one, I'm going to work with this one just to see if I can get this little guy fixed on the side. Hopefully the stencil will work. I don't have the corners yet. I think I ordered them the other day, so I'm hoping that they'll come through. What I do like about these stencils is that they are marked with the number as well as the color. I think actually I put this the wrong way. So let me go ahead and line this up. Unless I did it this way, let me see. Nope, I guess it has to be this way. Kind of looks good. Let me see, make sure, look at it through the light. And because I don't have the corners and I'm going to be using my eyes, I want to line it up on a corner where I can figure it out easily. So put the stencil in this bottom corner. Just make sure that all of my stencils are always lined up that way. Okay, that looks pretty good. Do I actually want to move this over a little bit? It's always that first one. Let me see if I can lift this. Try again, right? If at first you don't succeed, you try again. Let me see. I want to make sure I don't see any of the edges. And then line it up with that corner. And hopefully you can all see. I think that feels good. In Spanish we say "ahí se va." There it goes. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that and then start coloring. So for the first one, you're going to start with the lightest color. And for this palette, my lightest color is lilac. And I'm just using a basic ink blender. I tend to use the brushes for my oxides. So I don't have brushes for Catherine Pooler, which I'll probably have to fix that soon, because I do like blending with them as well. And because these are spongy, you'll probably have to pounce a little bit more versus kind of blend in like others. I do have some smaller brushes that'll help me to get into those like areas that are a little tight. But for the most part, you know, as you're creating, flowers have natural dark areas and lighter ones, so I think we can kind of play with that a little bit. One thing that I do really love about this challenge that we did is I haven't really been crafting as much because I also crochet, and so I've been really focused in that area. And so it was really nice to kind of get back into the swing of things with something that isn't as intimidating. I find stenciling to be quite relaxing, similar to when you're coloring or drawing. Crochet does that for me as well. It really calms me down. And so if I find that, you know, I need something to kind of relax and kind of push the worries away, whatever's going on in my mind, I find that just grabbing something very simple and coloring is really quite useful. Or writing, or, you know, first and foremost, I love art, so I usually go down that route for a little bit. And these sponges were all new. I was trying to make sure I played with them a little bit to get some ink on them, but I do find that they're gonna need a little bit more color. And I keep my inks in the sponges for these inks in their own tin, and each color has its own sponge, so that way next time when I grab this, it'll already have some ink on it, which will be really nice. It's always that first layer when you put it down that's a little challenging. I don't know. I find this to be quite peaceful. I'm gonna pause this for a minute and move to the next color. Okay, so I'm back. Color 2 is Verbena. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Verbena. Put some more color on this, make sure it's really juicy to make this easier to work with. So I think the juicier the sponge gets, the easier it is to blend. But also, this second stencil has a lot less tiny pieces, which were getting caught in the other sponge for some reason. But we got through it. We powered through it. Okay, this one has a little bit of some tiny crevices. Okay, well, I think this one looks pretty done. I'm gonna switch again. Be right back. Okay, so now I'm back with color number 3, which is the darkest, Royal Treatment. One of the things that I really enjoyed and missed was actually just crafting with people. It's something that I used to do a lot in person, or even through my work, we would do a lot of events where we would do things together like this, like artsy kind of things. And so it was really nice to kind of, you know, to quote Nancy, get the crew back together again and work on things. And the last stamp wars that I participated in was September of 2023, which I think was like the last or the second to last that we did. And the sponsor at that point, I want to say the one that I did was the last with the crew, and then I want to say there was one more with members from the FSC. And if you don't know what the FSC is, that's the Falling Snobs Club, because Miss Nancy is the empress of foiling, and it's actually how I found her. I had bought a glimmer and I was looking for videos to learn how to use it. And so fast forward a few years, I started helping as an admin in her group. With her and Tracy are the founders of the Falling Snobs Club on Facebook. And I just started participating. I tend to be a little bit more behind the scenes. I like to consider myself more of tech support. But hopefully I'll start making more videos and getting back into the groove of things. Okay, this is layer 3. Let me put this on pause and bring in layer 4. Okay, so layer 4, I'm going with grays because of what I'm planning to do with this card is a little bit more fall, Halloweenish. I'm using Pebble for the centers of the flowers. Hopefully this will work. If not, I'll grab a smaller brush. I had to go in with the previous step and use one of these smaller brushes to kind of get into the details a little bit better. But I did that off camera. So I'm hoping this will look okay for what I'm thinking of. Do you all have a lot of ton product? I have a few. I really love it. It's I have a few of their older sets and backgrounds. And then with this Stamp Wars, I ended up going in and getting a few more to go with my daisies. I ended up purchasing the wildflowers and cherry blossoms. I love cherry blossoms. Okay, let me try and do the last one. The last color that I'm going to use for the stems is Slate, which is another shade of grays and the neutrals. And I know this is a little unconventional, but hopefully you'll catch my drift once I put it together. Now for these little tiny areas, I might need to switch to a smaller brush. But we'll see how we do. I'm gonna put this on pause for a second, get this last layer in, and then clean my stencil so I could do the next color palette. I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have my second setup. I cleaned everything up. Because they are new sponges, I went ahead and practiced the palette on this. And my reference color was this orange, so the orange twist brings that out. Whereas in my previous card, let me grab it, I leveraged the center color. It's kind of an in-between, closest to verbena. So I tend to want things to kind of bring in a color palette when I'm making things, just to kind of bring it all together. So for example, on the one that we did live, I used oxides, but I wanted to bring in kind of a green that kind of matched the green that I used, which I think was Mauve Lawn. And then that way, like, my sentiment can have that as the base and kind of pop it all in together and give it some, just kind of like balance it out a bit, for lack of a better word. So for this, the lightest tone I'm going to use is Bellini. I think I'm going to use my brush instead of the sponge, just because I felt that I don't want to mess up the wobbly bits of the stencil. So I'm going to try this out, and maybe for the larger parts, I'll go back to the sponge. So anyway, one of the things that I just mentioned is that I crochet, and I'm wondering what other art activities you all do. I've been crocheting since I was a kid. I won't say how old I am, but very, very long time. I also knit, I loom knit, I like to make jewelry. Kind of feel like I tinker in a lot of things. And I'd say crochet and probably card making type stuff has been the longest. Like, I've been more consistent with those. I do know Tunisian crochet as well, but I'm a little bit newer to that, so I'm very, very basic. For crochet, I like to make amigurumi, which are like little stuffed animals. And I focus a lot on like fandoms and things that people request on my Instagram. I post every time I give one away because, so I started this gratitude project while I was in grad school. And it was to make, initially I started with making 100 things and giving them away. And everything had to be handmade. And the recipient could not, like, was not expecting it. It was just something that they happened to mention, and then I would make it. So like if they said, oh, I really like bears or something like that. I don't want to say any fandoms because I'm not sure if I'll get in trouble on this. And then I'll go make it. and then I will give it to them as a gift. And then that was like gratitude gift number 1, and so forth. And so I started it like, gosh, 12, almost 13 years ago now. And I'm at about, I separated cards from crochet and knit type stuff, just to kind of keep them separate, because I was also making cards and giving them away for projects and bookmarks and things like that. But for crochet, I think I'm at like 200 and something. And mind you, I take breaks because one of the reasons why I do switch between crochet and card making is you injure your wrist a lot with this repetitive movement. And I work a lot on a computer as well. And as you can tell from this video, I'm left-handed. So I have to be really careful between typing on a computer, crochet, and card making, and using my wrist a lot. So I tend to work a lot, and then I'll take breaks, and then I'll switch mediums and do something different, just to kind of give my wrist a break, but also to allow it to heal. And it also helps me practice like different things. So it helps me, like, keeps my mind active and learning different techniques and things. Yeah, see, I like this a lot better. It's a lot more smoother. Anyway, I'm going to finish this up and switch over to layer 2. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So second layer is going to be the leanie. I'm going to use these brushes. Actually, I really like them. They're really spongy. I believe I got them via Nancy's Amazon shop link. It must be under supplies. But I bought a ton of them. And it's perfect for something like this where you're almost like painting the color in. Yeah, this is going a lot smoother. So yeah, as I was saying, I like to tinker with a lot of different things. I started crafting really young, probably about 8 years old, I think, is when my aunt taught me how to crochet and how to knit. And I think she secretly did it so that I would just sit still. I wasn't really like a hyper kid, but like I spent a lot of time with her, and so she was always like making things for people. And she was a seamstress as well, so she taught me how to sew, and so I would spend a lot of my time making things with her, or, you know, creating my own things, drawing, coloring, but a lot of time making. And as I got older, we just kind of kept doing the same stuff. Like I would help her, you know, pick colors for things she was making for people. Because I love color, and I love planning things out from a color perspective, especially when it comes to creating. I like having kind of a palette and then like an inspiration piece or color to work around and kind of create that way. I know that people have different methods, but that's something that works for me. Or like if I'm making something, whether it's cards or crochet, I try to stick to like similar style. So like in crochet, like there's certain types of yarn, so I'll try and stick with same brand of yarn, but try to come up with like different color schemes to kind of make something that's pretty unique. Same with like colors, and like for example, the first the purple one that I made was all spa colors from Catherine Polar, and then I wanted the color scheme to be a little more like autumn or like spooky-ish, to do something for Halloween. And then this color palette is brighter, so it's more on the party collection side. But also I'll probably leverage this for Halloween. It's giving me very, like for Day of the Dead, there's the Day of the Dead flower, which is the marigold. So it's giving me that kind of a vibe. So I might go back and make another one of these and do more yellow tones, because marigolds are either orange palette or yellow, like more of a mustardy. So I might do that as well and see how that turns out. Okay, so I'm going to finish this up and go back to the next one, which is 3. Okay, we're back with layer 3, and for this one I'll be using Orange Twist. Same little brush. Hopefully this will go quick. I'll probably do some magic stopping so that we can get this done and work on the last part. So anyway, as I was saying, I'm kind of looking at these from a Halloween fall inspired palette. It reminded me a little bit of, like I said, marigolds. So marigolds are a little bit more full, but this will work. It'll pass. And marigolds, they're known as cempasúchiles, cempasúchil in Nahuatl, and they are used in particular during Day of the Dead, which is a holiday that I celebrate. And it starts like right after Halloween. You'll probably see people wearing a lot of Day of the Dead outfits for Halloween, but Day of the Dead actually starts November 2nd. And it's a series of days. So like the first day, which I think technically, I might be wrong here, starts with like honoring the pets, which is like your pets that have passed on, right? It's believed that we believe that death should be a celebration of life, and so that during this certain time of year, your loved ones that have passed on can come for a visit, and so you celebrate them. And so when I was little, we'd actually go to the cemetery and do like a, not like a party, but like a celebration there. And you take your loved one's favorite things and you create like an altar for them. And so what ends up happening is, you know, now there's like a lot more days because people celebrate, you know, the pets passing. But it's also tied a lot to religion, to Catholicism. So the 1st of November is considered like the day for kids. So like Dia de los Inocentes Day, I guess technically innocents are like, and so in, you know, Catholicism, you celebrate children, right, that have passed. Those are the saints, they're the innocents. Same in I guess more indigenous tradition. And so you do it, they come earlier, right, because they're excited to come. That's the belief, that because their kids are excited to come. Anyway, let me pause this really quick and then I'll continue with my story. Okay, so for the centers of the flowers, I'm going to use gingerbread. And then for the stems, I'll be using martini. Okay, so as I was saying, the idea is that you do a celebration of life for your loved ones, and you honor them by, like, at home you would create like your altar, and you would decorate it, and you would put like their favorite foods, candles, their favorite drinks, toys if they're kids, your favorite pet's toy. And that's all for them to know, like, where to go and like come and visit, you know, for a visit and to celebrate. And so it starts, you know, for a couple of days, like I said, right around Halloween usually, and it goes into the 1st and the 2nd. And you kind of just leave up your altar, you honor them. If you are practicing religion, you might say a little prayer for them. But ultimately, it's all a way for you to connect with your loved ones that have now passed on. And it is my favorite holiday. It's something that I'm very, very, very tied to. And like I said, I used to celebrate it as a kid. And so these flowers kind of remind me of that. And I was thinking about how maybe I could leverage it and turn them into cempasúchiles or marigolds. Okay, so now I'm down to the last color, which is Martini. And definitely these brushes were much, much easier to work with than the sponges. So I usually use the other ones for blending on cardstock. So that's not shifting, but I think for stenciling, I'm going to make sure I have either a dedicated set of brushes or more of these little ones to get into these like harder to reach areas. But I really love them. It's definitely a brighter palette. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Finished the last layer. This is the reveal. That looks very beautiful if I do say so myself. Let me get this lifted. Make sure I don't mess this up. But here it is. And that's gonna go on this. And that makes it stand out a little more. This is actually really bright, so I might actually change, and I need to make a birthday card anyway, so I might do that. And here's the first one, the purples with the grays. I had made like this little skull thing, which I might attach to it. But see, this was initially the first, where I said I had messed it up. I had got in alcohol on it because I was cleaning the mat. And it stained it a little bit before, but now that it's done, you can't even tell. It looks like it's done intentionally. And that's the thing about the creative process, right? Like things that look like oopsies become, hey, this is actually kind of cool. So I might find a way to add a little bit more of splash and make this more of a Halloween card. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you so much. This was the first one that I made during the live. I want to say thank you to Nancy for inviting me to be part of Stamp Wars, Tracy, who was our fellow pal playing, and if you haven't already, please follow and subscribe if you can. I'd appreciate it. I'm kind of a newbie here. I've been here for a while, but I don't really post. But just want to say thank you, and I hope that you've enjoyed this process. And if you have any questions, please feel free. If you haven't joined the Foiling Snobs Club on Facebook, please do so as well. I'll try to create a link and put it on the description of this video, and I'll probably put like the final results for these cards on the group as well. But anyway, thank you for playing. Please visit my friends Tracy and Nancy's channel. If you didn't get to catch Stamp Wars live, you can catch it on review. It's on her channel you have to click on live to be able to see the past lives. Anyway, thank you. Bye. Okay, they're all together. That's gonna have something like this. And then the third one.